What if the best pick of the entire 2026 draft for the Spurs wasn't even a guy they're sure will play this season? San Antonio just spent the 20th pick on Jayden, Quaintance, a kid who was a top 10 talent, a projected lottery lock, and then tore his ACL and barely played his final college year. Some fans are already calling it a reach. Some are calling it the steal of the night. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why Brian Wright didn't even flinch. But here's the twist nobody's talking about yet. This pick only makes sense once you understand why the Spurs, of all teams, can afford to make it. Stick with me. Let's break it down. What's up, Spurs fans? Welcome back to Spurs Quick News, quick, sharp, and all about the silver and black. If you're riding with us all the way from the Alamo Dome days to finals runs, smash that subscribe button and drop your city in the comments. Let's see how far this fan base reaches. Let's talk about the guy with the bad knee and the great upside. Let's set the scene. The Spurs just came off an NBA Finals appearance, a hard-fought run that ended in a 4-1 loss to the Knicks. That's not a tear-it-down season. That's a we're-close season. So when San Antonio walked into the 2026 draft, nobody expected them to gamble. Instead, with the 20th pick, they took Jayden Quaintance, the 6'10" forward who was, less than a year ago, getting mocked in the top 10 by ESPN, CBS Sports, and Bleacher Report. Then his knee betrayed him twice. He tore his ACL and meniscus at Arizona State in February of 2025, had surgery, transferred to Kentucky, fought his way back, and made his Wildcats debut on December 20th. Now, 4 games later, the same knee flared up again, and his season was over. So here's the tension. A team with zero pressure to take risks willingly took the biggest medical risk in the entire first round. Why? 3 numbers tell the real story. First, in that 4-game return at Kentucky, he still flashed it, including a 10-point, 8-rebound, 2-block outing against St. John's. Second, as a true freshman at Arizona State, before any of this happened, he averaged nearly 9.5 points, almost 8 rebounds, and over 2.5 blocks a game. Third, he's still only 18, younger than almost every player in this draft class. That's the contradiction sitting right in front of San Antonio's front office. Elite tools, elite timing, and a knee that nobody can fully guarantee. So which version of Quaintance did the Spurs actually draft? No, the lottery talent or the cautionary tale? Drop your gut read in the comments. Did the Spurs just find a steal, or did they overthink a 20th pick? Let's get into what the front office is actually saying. Yeah, because it's more confident than you'd expect. Hit that, if you're locked in, and let's go to Block B. Okay, let's get into the basketball reasons this pick makes sense, because there are 2 distinct angles here, and most takes you've seen online only cover one of them. Forget the medical chart for a second. On talent alone, this is a top 10 prospect in disguise. Quaintance profiles as a physical, rim-running 4 who protects the rim and dominates the glass, with exactly the kind of front court or partner you want next to a defensive anchor like Victor Wembanyama. He's not a stretch 4 who needs plays run for him. He's a paint presence who finishes, blocks shots, and rebounds, skills that tend to translate fast even off injury, since they don't depend on a polished jump shot. Here's the angle most people are missing. This isn't just a luxury pick, it's succession planning. Luke Kornet turns 31 next month, and his salary isn't even fully guaranteed past this season. Instead of chasing a journeyman center in free agency, San Antonio drafted an 18-year-old who can grow into that exact role for the next decade. A wing needs touch and feel to be useful early. A rim-running big mostly needs effort, length, and timing, and those traits tend to survive injury rehab better than shooting does. But here's the part nobody's talking about. This is about more than just Quaintance. It's about the second move that quietly made this whole draft work. So San Antonio didn't just take one big, they traded up, sending picks to Denver, while it also grabbed UConn's Tarris Reed Jr. at 26. Reed isn't a project. He's 22, just averaged nearly 15 points and 9 rebounds a game as a senior, and helped UConn reach the national championship game. He's NBA ready in a way Quaintance simply isn't right now. That's the chess move. Reed gives the Spurs a low-risk, high-floor big who can soak up real rotation minutes immediately. Quaintance gives them a high-ceiling project who can heal on his own clock. One pick covers the present, one covers the future. So when people ask, was this pick good? They're often only grading half the move. You can't evaluate Quaintance in a vacuum. You have to evaluate him next to Reed, next to a returning core of 9 rotation players from a finals team. Quick gut check. Which rookie contributes first? Reed off the bench or Quaintance once healthy? Smash that like button if you've got a strong opinion, because Block C is where we get into the contracts, the rehab timeline, and a piece of Spurs history that reframes everything. Let's talk rehab, because this is where the real patience test begins. Quaintance's college ACL tear has lingered with ongoing knee swelling, and he's now expected to undergo a follow-up procedure, a meniscus cleanup, that could keep him out for roughly 6 months. That timeline likely wipes out most or all of Summer League and could push his debut deep into the 2026-27 season. Here's the genuinely good news in that. The doctor behind that opinion is Dr. Riley Williams III, the same surgeon trusted by the Brooklyn Nets and USA Basketball for serious orthopedic cases. His read was that Quaintance's ACL itself is fully intact and stable. This is about a permanent fix, not a structural failure. That's a tough pill for fans who want instant returns on a first-round pick. But here's where the front office philosophy becomes the story. GM Brian Wright didn't sound like a man second-guessing himself. He said the team did extensive work with Quaintance's medical team and representatives, getting comfortable with both the rehab plan and what he called the long-term prognosis. His framing was simple. Tremendous talent interrupted by injury. And if it hadn't been interrupted, San Antonio likely never gets the chance to draft him at all. That's not spin. That's the actual value proposition of drafting at 20 instead of in the lottery, betting that the medical staff and the rehab plan get him back. And there's a structural reason San Antonio can stomach that bet. It's been almost 3 decades since the Spurs fired a head coach or general manager. That stability changes the entire calculus on a pick like this. Wright isn't drafting to survive next week's grades. He's drafting for a roster that could be playing meaningful minutes together in 2028 and beyond. That same patience already paid off when Wright flipped DeJounte Murray to Atlanta for future first-round capital. The Spurs are still cashing in on years later. Now here's the loop I opened earlier. There's a moment from Spurs history involving this exact injury on this exact knee that most fans have forgotten. I'm not telling you yet. I'm coming back to it before we close because it actually reframes everything about Quaintance's outlook. For now, here's your call to action. And I want a real answer, not just a reaction. Are the Spurs better off letting Quaintance fully heal and grow inside the system on his own timeline? Or should they be aggressively looking to trade up for proven size right now to protect the timeline around Wembanyama? Drop trade up or grow inside in the comments. Let's be balanced about this because it's easy to either hype this pick blindly or panic about it. And neither reaction is fair. Strength 1, the timing and value. Getting a player who is a top 10 talent less than a year ago at pick 20 is exactly the kind of swing that turns into a steal 3 or 4 years down the road if the health holds. Strength 2, the fit. A rim-protecting, rebounding big who doesn't need the ball to be effective slots in beautifully next to a roster that just made the finals and doesn't need him to be the guy on day 1. Strength 3, and this one's underrated, the financial risk here is tiny. Quaintance's rookie deal projects at around $2.7 million in year 1, with team options after. Betting that little on this much equity is about as low cost as a swing for the fences gets. Sturfois vulnerability 1. Knee injuries involving both an ACL and a meniscus are not small medical events, even with the best doctors in the building. Recovery timelines slip. Nobody can guarantee this goes perfectly. Vulnerability 2. The development gap. Quintance's shooting touch is genuinely unrefined, and there's a real chance he misses the entire 2026-27 season. That's a long runway with zero on-court data to evaluate. So this is elite potential versus raw, unproven execution, stated plainly. Both things are true at the same time. It's not reckless to be excited. It's not foolish to be cautious either. Real question for you. If Quaintance plays 0 NBA minutes this season, does that automatically make this pick a bust? Or does patience genuinely make sense for a roster that's already this close to a championship? Let me know where you land, and let's look at where this actually goes from here. So what does the realistic timeline look like? If the meniscus procedure happens this summer, a 6-month recovery window points toward a possible return around early 2027, likely G League run in Austin first. Don't expect summer league reps or a camp battle for a rotation spot. Expect patience on purpose. Now here's the loop I promised to close. Back in 2000, Tim Duncan tore his meniscus late in the season, and he wanted to play through it. The Spurs said no. They shut him down, sacrificing that playoff run and forced the surgery, even though it cost them a shot at defending the 1999 title. It wasn't popular at the time, but that decision protected a knee that went on to carry a 19-year, 5-championship career. That's not a vague comparison, although that's the same organization making the same kind of call on the same joint a generation apart. San Antonio has already lived the version of this story where patience on a knee injury turns into a legendary outcome. Nobody's promising Quaintance becomes Tim Duncan, but the front office sitting across from his medical team isn't guessing. They've done this before, and it worked about as well as it possibly could. That sets up our next video. Now, Tarris Reed Jr. deserves his own deep dive as a 22-year-old Final Four tested center who might be ready to contribute from the week 1. We're breaking that down next. If this video helped you actually understand the Quaintance pick instead of just reacting to draft grades, do me a favor, smash that like button, drop a comment with trade up or grow inside, and subscribe with notifications on so you don't miss the Tarris Reed breakdown coming next. This offseason is just getting started, and there's a lot more to unpack. Until then, stay silver and black, stay sharp, peace.